That takes some of the pressure off of Paige. Sometimes she's her worst enemy and she over-penetrates to try to get something in traffic and get to the free throw line and blah, blah, blah. If you're going to play her the way they played her, which I think is what she's going to see.
Have you seen the latest UConn-Notre Dame matchup? UConn took its first loss of the season, and Geno Auriemma didn't take it lightly. He was visibly upset, especially after fans started calling the team and star Paige Bueckers overrated. Let's rewind for some context. Auriemma recently became the winningest coach in college basketball history, yet a resurfaced headline from 2016 is now drawing attention. In it, he criticized Caitlin Clark, a comment that's being brought back into the spotlight as his current star, Paige Bueckers, struggles to perform.
Like I said earlier, they actually had odds that, she was like third or fourth in the betting odds to be MVP of the WNBA. That's such a slap in the face to every WNBA player. It's unbelievable.
If defenders are going to guard her the way they did, forcing contact, clogging the lane, and making it hard for her to get to the free throw line, then something doesn't quite add up. That's likely the kind of defense she'll continue to face. So the bigger question becomes, are we witnessing the decline of a basketball legend? Is he setting the stage for failure by the way he's handling this? Is he taking shots at a once-in-a-generation talent? When you really break it down, the criticism aimed at a player like Clark only makes the situation worse for the most accomplished coach in college basketball history.
He will likely always have, as long as he's coaching, the greatest talent that is in women's basketball. And we've seen Stewie come out of there. We've seen Nafisa. Like, the list goes on and on. Maya Moore. The list of UConn stars are endless. He will always get.
This image dates back to 2016, when Geno Auriemma was firmly established as the undisputed king of women's college basketball. After leading UConn to a fourth straight national championship behind star Breanna Stewart, his program looked unstoppable and his legacy seemed untouchable. Fast forward to the present, and the landscape has changed dramatically. The UConn Huskies once stood as a dynasty unlike any other, racking up countless conference titles, 11 national championships, and producing a steady pipeline of All-Americans and WNBA stars. For years, Auriemma's name was synonymous with excellence and dominance.
We need other contributions, and Paige is going to try to carry the team by herself when she thinks there aren't a lot of those contributions, and that's not good for her. And
However, the period following that 2016 championship is where the story takes a turn. 7 years without a title might not raise eyebrows elsewhere, but at UConn, it feels like a full-blown drought. So what changed? Has Auriemma lost his edge? The Huskies no longer overwhelm opponents the way they once did, and the program is beginning to look like a shadow of its former self. While other teams evolve, embracing new offensive systems, defensive schemes, and innovative coaching, UConn appears stuck in the past. Their recent performances have been nothing short of surprising. Take the loss to Notre Dame, for example, where a lower-ranked team took down the once mighty Huskies, who were widely believed to have the best player in college basketball. And it wasn't an isolated incident. UConn has stumbled more frequently, showing vulnerability in games they once would have controlled with ease.
Geno Auriemma, Caitlin Clark again. The world turns. It's Caitlin Clark's world. We just live on planet.
Players who once lined up to commit to UConn are now choosing other programs, raising an uncomfortable question. Is this the beginning of the end for the Auriemma dynasty? The program's aura of invincibility is clearly fading. Amid all this uncertainty, Auriemma still achieved something remarkable. He became the winningest coach in college basketball history. It's a historic milestone that cements his legacy in the record books. Yet the moment feels bittersweet. While the team has shown signs of improvement, they are no longer the dominant force they once were, nor do they strike fear into opponents the way UConn teams once did.
Paige Bueckers and the UConn Huskies front and center this season in women's basketball. Some fans are starting to question Geno Auriemma's coaching style and wondering if it's truly what's best.
As a result, a dilemma still lingers. This is a fascinating moment in basketball history, watching a legend navigate a changing landscape, reaching the peak of individual achievement while his program shows signs of decline. But this story goes beyond wins and losses. To truly understand what's happening at UConn and with Auriemma, We need to take a closer look at the players themselves, especially one who's being hailed as the next great star.
Paige is having a good season so far. I don't think it's her greatest performance or her greatest season so far, and she's struggled in a couple.
What happens when an elite talent runs into an outdated system? Fans had enormous expectations for Paige Bueckers when she arrived at UConn, but her recent performances have left many confused. The question now is whether the very program that helped elevate her profile is also the one holding her back.
So Geno Auriemma surprisingly called, for lack of a better way of describing it, called out Paige Bueckers. And yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, kind of doing it almost out of the blue in a halftime team talk. And you would have thought maybe it's something to kind of spur her on. It did not.
Let's rewind to 2020. Paige Bueckers was the hottest name in women's basketball. She led her team to a Minnesota State championship and averaged nearly 23 points per game in high school. The hype was real, and her talent was undeniable, capped off by winning the Naismith High School Player of the Year award, a clear sign she was headed for greatness.
He basically said, well, Paige just likes to stand around. She's not really aggressive and she's not going to go after the ball. So that's just what Paige likes to do. He kind of threw her under the bus. And a lot of fans are starting to notice that Geno says a lot of things to the media about his team, about his players that are starting to rub certain people.
Bueckers' freshman season at UConn appeared to live up to every bit of the hype. She averaged 20 points, nearly 6 assists, and 5 rebounds per game, leading the team on deep runs in the NCAA tournament. It looked like UConn had found its next superstar. This season, however, her numbers have taken a noticeable dip. While she's still putting up 18.9 points per game, something feels off, especially in high-pressure matchups. In big games, the impact hasn't been the same, as seen in contests like the Holy Cross game.
If Geno's coaching style is affecting Paige Bueckers and the trajectory of her career and has maybe halted her a little bit in becoming the best player that she can possibly.
Basketball analysts have been weighing in on what might be going wrong. A key issue they point to is Bueckers' apparent lack of aggression. Instead of taking control, she's been playing more passively and deferring to her teammates, seemingly losing the instinctive edge that once made her so special. Here's where it gets interesting. Auriemma's traditional, old-school coaching style has worked brilliantly for years, but the game is evolving. Could it be that his strict system is now unintentionally suppressing Bueckers' natural talents?
That's the worst part about new fans. You know, they have no perspective. There's no context. So they just say ridiculous now.
Auriemma himself has hinted at Bueckers' untapped potential, noting that in practice she shoots an impressive 75% from the field and up to 60% from three-point range. With numbers like that, it's starting to look like Bueckers might be a square peg in a round hole. Her efficiency-focused, pass-first style doesn't fully align with the aggressive, dominant approach that UConn built its dynasty on. Even though she still leads the team in scoring, there's a sense that the fit isn't seamless.
College career that Caitlin had ignited a tremendous amount of attention, an incredible phenomenon that very rarely happens, and it certainly changed the landscape.
Bueckers' situation remains something of a mystery. As we watch her struggle to reach her full potential, it's hard not to wonder whether the UConn system itself is part of the problem, or if what we're really seeing is a clash between traditional coaching methods and a rising new talent.
To listen to the fever management to moan about physical fouls whenever, anytime I moan about the game being too physical, there's always somebody on that staff saying that I'm so.
Another story is unfolding as Bueckers and UConn try to find the right balance. Meanwhile, another rising star across the nation is showing what can happen when elite talent is paired with the right system. If you've been following along and enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We really appreciate you watching. Now, let's get back to the action.
So much new attention to the rise in women's college basketball and the WNBA and women's sports in general. I feel like the weight of the world is on her shoulders, and she just has this heavy burden to carry, and she does it with grace.
Geno Auriemma famously doubted Caitlin Clark's game would translate to the WNBA, but Clark's rookie season proved otherwise, breaking records and reshaping women's basketball. Her success highlights a shift in the sport. Modern players thrive in dynamic, player-centered systems, while traditional, rigid approaches, like UConn's, risk holding talent back. As stars like Bueckers and Clark rise, the question becomes whether the old guard can adapt to this new era. Women's basketball is evolving fast, and the programs and coaches who embrace innovation will define its future.